All right, let's just dive right into this explainer with a bit of a secret, okay? Today, we are going to unpack a technology that is quietly, and I mean almost completely under the radar, becoming the most important shift in software since the invention of the smartphone. What we're really looking at here is an invisible revolution. So, what if I told you there's this mystery technology out there that's already running on 4.5% of all websites across the globe? That equates to millions upon millions of sites. But here is the really crazy part. 41%, a massive 41% of organizations are actually using this technology in production right now. Not in some testing phase, not in a lab somewhere, but actively powering their real-world systems. And yet, almost nobody outside of a really small circle of developers is even talking about it. Well, that technology is called WebAssembly. In this explainer, we're going to pull back the curtain on exactly what WebAssembly is, why the year 2026 is its massive, explosive tipping point, and most importantly, why you should care about this shift even if you've never written a single line of code in your entire life. Because trust me, it is going to fundamentally change how you experience the digital world.
Part 1. WebAssembly Simply Explained. Breaking Beyond the Browser's Limits.
Let's start with a problem that I think everyone can understand. For decades, if you wanted to do something computationally heavy, like say rendering complex 3D graphics, running heavy simulations, or editing video, you had to download and install a dedicated application right to your desktop. Why? Well, because web browsers basically only understood one language, JavaScript. Think of JavaScript kind of like a bicycle. It is incredibly versatile, it gets you where you need to go, and it works pretty much everywhere you need it to. But WebAssembly is the sports car. It's a completely new language that browsers actually understand natively, but it's built purely for raw speed. It allows developers to take code written in really heavy-duty languages like C++, Rust, and Python and run it right inside your web browser at basically 90 to 95% of native speed. So for simple things, sure, you still want the bicycle. But when you need serious speed and heavy computation in the browser, WebAssembly is absolutely that sports car. Moving on to part 2, the 2026 tipping point. From the browser to the cloud. Now, WebAssembly has technically been around since 2017, so you might be wondering, why is it exploding right now? Well, it starts with a massive shift from purely browser-based usage over to cloud integration, and the data paints a very clear picture. What's really fascinating here is the sheer scale of adoption. According to the latest developer surveys, we have that 41% of organizations using it in production, right? But look at the next slice of the chart. Another 28% are actively planning to adopt it. When you add those together, nearly 70% of the entire software industry is either already utilizing WebAssembly or planning to do so very soon. This pushes it way past just being some experimental phase. This is a foundational shift in how the industry operates. And the absolutely crucial piece of this puzzle is an interface called WASI, which stands for WebAssembly System Interface. If WebAssembly is the engine, WASI is the steering wheel, the brakes, and the dashboard. It is the standard interface that allows WebAssembly to actually talk to operating systems, access files, and connect to networks outside of a web browser. With WASI version 1.0 expected in late 2026 or early 2027, WebAssembly officially becomes a universal binary format. Basically, you write the code once and it runs anywhere, on a browser, on cloud servers, on mobile phones, or even smart home devices. Industry insiders are already calling it a potential container killer. Part 3. Real-world magic. WebAssembly in action. Let's look at how these kind of abstract concepts are already powering tools you probably use every single day. Take Figma, for example, the massive collaborative design tool used by millions. Without WebAssembly, Figma as we know it simply wouldn't exist. They actually compile their complex C++ rendering engine into WebAssembly so you get incredibly fast, native speed design scrolling right there in your browser. Then there's Google Earth. You can render an entire 3D planet with massive satellite imagery right in a standard Chrome tab, all because of WebAssembly. In cloud computing, serverless providers like Cloudflare and Fastly are using WebAssembly to drop startup times to mere microseconds, using just kilobytes of memory, which is literally 100 times improvement over older container technologies. And finally, platforms like Envoy and Shopify use it, so their users can write custom plugins in any language, running completely safely and isolated from the host system. I mean, this is real-world magic, and it's happening right now.
Part 4, Why it matters, the impact on everyone. You might be sitting there thinking, hey, I'm not a developer, why does this matter to me? Well, it fundamentally changes your everyday digital experience, and it breaks down into 4 main pillars. First, it makes everything faster. Web apps are going to feel as instantly responsive as native desktop applications. No more sluggish web interfaces. Second, it's cheaper. Because servers run so much more efficiently using WebAssembly, those computing costs plummet, and those savings inevitably flow down to consumers. Third, it's incredibly accessible. Because developers can write software once and have it run flawlessly across Windows, Mac, Linux, and mobile devices, everything just works. And finally, it is highly secure. WebAssembly runs inside a strict sandbox by default. That means it absolutely cannot access your personal files, your network, or your computer's system, making it significantly safer than traditional applications you just download and install.
Part 5. The future of WebAssembly. Challenges and the horizon. Now, just to keep our perspective totally balanced, there are still some hurdles. WASI 1.0 is maturing, developer tooling needs some polish, and we have to remember, WebAssembly is a powerful addition to JavaScript, it's not a total replacement. But I want to leave you with this question. Had you ever even heard of the WebAssembly revolution before today? As WASI 1.0 and the component model mature over the next year or so, this quiet revolution is about to get very, very loud. It's shifting software delivery exactly like the smartphone did back in 2007. It really leaves you wondering just how much of your daily web use is already being powered by this hidden, incredibly powerful technology. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and whatever you do, don't let this invisible revolution pass you by.